The Crusades and their role in shaping the modern world. The Crusades, 1096 to 1291, were a pivotal series of events that extended far beyond their immediate goals of reclaiming the Holy Land for Christendom. Their impact reverberated through centuries, influencing politics, religion, economics, and culture, and laying the groundwork for many aspects of the modern world. By fostering connections between East and West, reshaping European society, and intensifying religious and cultural divides, the Crusades helped define the trajectory of global history. Chapter 1: The Crusades and the Birth of Globalization. The Crusades marked one of the earliest large-scale interactions between Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, setting the stage for the globalized world. 1. Trade networks and economic expansion. The Crusades opened up Mediterranean trade routes and strengthened ties between Europe and the Islamic world. Goods such as spices, silk, and glass became highly sought after in Europe, leading to the rise of powerful merchant cities like Venice and Genoa. These trade connections laid the groundwork for the Renaissance, as wealth and knowledge flowed back to Europe. 2. Cultural and intellectual exchange. The Crusades facilitated the transfer of knowledge from the Islamic world to Europe, including advances in medicine, mathematics, and astronomy. Key figures such as Avicenna, Ibn Sina, and Averroes, Ibn Rushd, became known to Europeans, influencing Western thought and contributing to the eventual scientific revolution. Chapter 2: The Rise of Nation-States and Centralized Power. The Crusades played a significant role in shaping European political structures, particularly in the development of centralized states and monarchies. 1. Decline of feudalism. Many nobles sold their lands or weakened their power by joining the Crusades, enabling monarchs to consolidate control over their territories. The papacy's involvement in directing the Crusades weakened the feudal bonds between lords and vassals, as knights owed allegiance to the church rather than local rulers. 2. Strengthening of monarchies. Kings like Richard the Lionheart of England and Louis IX of France used the Crusades to solidify their political authority and enhance their reputations. The financial demands of the Crusades led to the introduction of taxes, such as the Saladin tithe, setting a precedent for centralized taxation systems. Chapter 3: Religious transformations and their modern impact. 1. The role of the papacy. The Crusades elevated the papacy to its height of power in medieval Europe, positioning it as both a spiritual and temporal authority. The papacy's ability to unite European rulers for a common cause served as a model for later religious and political campaigns. 2. Interfaith relations. The Crusades deepened divisions between Christianity and Islam, shaping mutual perceptions for centuries. For Muslims, the Crusades became a symbol of Western aggression, a narrative that persists in modern political and cultural discourse. For Christians, the Crusades fostered a sense of religious identity and mission, influencing later efforts such as the Reconquista and European colonial expansion. 3. Impact on religious minorities. The Crusades often targeted Jewish communities in Europe, leading to massacres and expulsions that set a precedent for later anti-Semitism. The persecution of heretical Christian sects, such as the Cathars, also intensified during and after the crusading period, shaping the Church's approach to orthodoxy. Chapter 4: Advances in Military and Technological Innovation. The Crusades spurred significant advancements in military technology and strategy, many of which influenced modern warfare. 1. Fortification and siege warfare. The Crusader experience in the Holy Land led to the development of concentric castles and improved fortification techniques, influencing military architecture across Europe. The use of advanced siege engines, such as trebuchets, was refined during the Crusades. 2. Naval power. The need to transport troops and supplies across the Mediterranean encouraged the growth of naval capabilities among European powers. Maritime innovations pioneered during the Crusades later supported European exploration and colonization efforts. 3. Standing armies. The concept of professional military orders, such as the Knights Templar and Knights Hospitaller, influenced the development of standing armies and disciplined military forces in Europe. Chapter 5: The Crusades and the Renaissance. The Crusades helped spark the cultural and intellectual revival that defined the Renaissance. 1. Rediscovery of classical knowledge. European exposure to Islamic libraries and scholarship during the Crusades led to the reintroduction of classical texts from Greece and Rome. These texts, often translated into Latin, became the foundation for Renaissance humanism and scientific inquiry. 2. Artistic and architectural influences. The Crusades exposed European artists and architects to Byzantine and Islamic styles, which influenced Gothic architecture and decorative arts. Innovations in geometry and perspective, inspired by Islamic and Byzantine art, became hallmarks of Renaissance creativity. Chapter 6. The Crusades and European Colonial Ambitions. The Crusades set a precedent for European expansionism and colonization, shaping the mindset of later explorers and conquerors. 1. The concept of holy war. The idea of a divinely sanctioned mission to conquer and convert persisted beyond the Crusades, influencing the Reconquista in Spain and the Age of Exploration. Spanish and Portuguese explorers often framed their conquests in religious terms, drawing on Crusader rhetoric to justify their actions. 2. Expansion beyond Europe. The maritime connections and military strategies developed during the Crusades were adapted for colonial ventures in the Americas, Africa, and Asia. Crusader symbols, such as the cross, became enduring emblems of European colonial power. Chapter 7. Modern Interpretations and Legacy. The Crusades continue to shape modern perceptions of history, religion, and international relations. 1. Symbolism in contemporary politics. The term crusade is often invoked in modern rhetoric, sometimes positively, e.g., humanitarian missions, and sometimes negatively, e.g., as a symbol of Western imperialism. Islamist movements have used the memory of the Crusades to frame Western interventions in the Middle East as part of a long-standing conflict. 2. Academic and popular interest. Historians and writers continue to reinterpret the Crusades, emphasizing themes of cultural exchange, religious conflict, and political ambition. Popular culture, including films, novels, and video games, has kept the Crusades alive in the public imagination. Chapter 8. The Crusades and the Development of Western Legal and Administrative Systems. The Crusades not only influenced warfare and religion, but also had a profound impact on legal and administrative practices in Europe and the Crusader states. These innovations laid the groundwork for modern governance and institutional structures. 1. Codification of law. The governance of the Crusader states necessitated the creation of legal codes to manage diverse populations of Franks, Muslims, Jews, and Eastern Christians. The Assizes of Jerusalem, a legal code established in the Kingdom of Jerusalem, became one of the earliest examples of written feudal law in the region. It combined European feudal traditions with local practices, influencing later European legal systems. 2. Taxation systems. The financial demands of the Crusades led to the development of more sophisticated taxation systems in Europe. Crusading tithes. Special taxes were imposed on clergy and laity to fund the campaigns, establishing a precedent for national and ecclesiastical taxation. This innovation contributed to the centralization of state finance and the eventual rise of modern tax systems. 3. Administrative efficiency. The logistical complexity of organizing crusades required the development of effective bureaucratic systems, particularly in kingdoms like England and France. Centralized record-keeping, financial oversight, and coordination of resources became critical, strengthening the role of royal and papal administrations. Chapter 9. The Crusades and the Shaping of Religious Identity. The Crusades solidified distinct religious identities in both Europe and the Islamic world, influencing interfaith dynamics and cultural self-perception for centuries. 1. Strengthening Christian unity. The Crusades united fragmented European powers under the banner of a shared religious mission, fostering a collective identity as Christendom. This unity, however, was often tenuous and occasionally fractured, as seen in events like the Fourth Crusade and its sack of Constantinople, which deepened the schism between Catholic and Orthodox Christianity. 2. Muslim unity and identity. Initially fragmented, the Islamic world gradually coalesced under leaders like Saladin and the Mamluks, framing the Crusades as a struggle for the survival of Islamic civilization. The Crusades reinforced the concept of jihad, holy struggle, as both a spiritual and military endeavor, shaping Muslim identity and resistance against external threats. 3. Polarization of interfaith relations. While there were moments of coexistence and dialogue, such as truces and trade, the Crusades entrenched stereotypes and hostility between Christians and Muslims. The demonization of each other's faiths became a recurring theme in religious polemics, influencing perceptions well into the modern era. Chapter 10. The Crusades and the Role of Women. Women played complex roles during the Crusades, ranging from spiritual supporters to active participants in governance and even warfare. 1. Women in Europe. Many women assumed greater responsibilities at home as men left for the Crusades, managing estates, finances, and local governance. Queens and noblewomen, figures like Eleanor of Aquitaine, who participated in the Second Crusade, influenced the political and cultural dimensions of the campaigns. 2. Women in the Crusader states. Noblewomen in the Crusader states often played significant roles in administration and diplomacy, particularly in the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Some women, such as Melisende of Jerusalem, served as rulers, navigating complex political landscapes. 3. Female pilgrims. Women from various social classes joined crusades as pilgrims, nurses, and occasionally combatants, highlighting the diverse motivations and contributions of women during the period.